This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Something I did mention, I wonder if we see the quarterback as a backup for a year. Because Mahomes Rodgers was for obviously more than that, and Mayfield started as the backup.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
I mean, they're just going to have to sign somebody if that's the intention.
You got Chase Daniels.
Nah, I do not think they will go into the season with him as the intended starter.
What about Tyrod Taylor or Fitzpatrick?
Holy sh! Oh, my bad. I was like, we're not going to talk about Stafford today, and then I realized our whole thing was talking about Stafford. Sorry, Fitzpatrick or who? Tyrod Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have Tyrod Taylor because he's definitively worse.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I want Chase Daniels to be the quarterback, because I think he's worse than Tyrod Taylor.
To be honest with you, I think it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like, if they have the choice, for sure. I think they will either start the rookie or sign like a Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if they went after Ryan Fitzpatrick. He was talking about how his career might be over this year, so I think he'd be thrilled to get an opportunity to start again.
I think he was done a little bit dirty in Miami, but...
Oh, he was. No, he was done very dirty in Miami. I'm not even trying to make money. Like, the reason I need to convince myself not to put more money back in is because fuck billionaires. Like, I almost want to throw money back in just to fuck you. Like, not even to make money.
I love how you're petty.
I'm not though. That's the thing. I'm not petty. When I get to petty, it tells you where I'm at. I am not a petty person.
That's how you know you're pissed
If I'm rooting for you to go to jail, you have done something wrong. You could steal money from me and I wouldn't root for you to go to jail. If somebody broke into my house and stole, obviously if they stole everything, maybe it's different. If I came home and found out the $200 that I made on GameStop were missing, I don't even know if I'd root for you to go to jail. But if you fucking tell people they can't buy stock because you want to help billionaires,
you know what's
hope you can't buy a car.
You know what's going in the very front of our episode, right? All of this.
All right, Stroz, we are, like 7 seconds into the recording? We have not talked at all. The only thing we've done is fix my sound. We're going to do something we've never done on the show before. We're going to plan the show in segment 1, because things are going to look different today. I don't know how so, but they're going to. We have some good Lions topics to talk about, but I have some issues here. We had a really fun middle segment plan. If you're familiar with everything going on with, I don't even know what to say, with GameStop, with the stock market, I made some good money over the last couple of days. And I want it to be very, 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 very clear, because I'm going to do a lot of bitching today. I'm still up nearly, I'm up, I think, 145, 150. I was up 200 when we planned the show yesterday, but I'm still up. I'm not mad because of the way this affected me. I'm pissed at some of the bullshit that went down today. I'm going to tell you from the start, I'm going to swear a lot today. So, here's what I want to discuss with you, Stroz. We're going to fight about Matthew Stafford. That's going to happen. But I don't know if I have the energy to fight with you about Matthew Stafford, then scream and yell about the bullshit that happened today with Robinhood and Ameritrade and Webull and all this other bullshit. And then we're probably going to have a little bit of fun with the GM and the coaching stuff. I think we're both in similar places there. I need you to help me plan the show. Do we do our normal Oreo, but make sure to have some fun?
I think we start right where we're at. I think we start there because you are obviously super.
What happened today is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And I'm going to give you a brief idea of what happened. My guess is, Stroz, when it comes to the real world and the things that I'm really into, it seems like you have a very, very, loose idea of what's going on. Is that the case here?
Yes, I would say yeah.
And again, I know this is a sports podcast. We will get into some Matt Stafford stuff. Stroz doesn't think it worked in Detroit for Matthew Stafford. I think he's full of crap. And the GM and the coaching, not the head coach, obviously, but just all the moves that have gone in the front office and coaching. We're going to get into that. But, okay. So, I didn't even listen to your answer. I'm sorry. I'm in a different place today. So, the brief overview of how this all started. Hedge fund billionaires decided to short GameStop stock into oblivion. If you don't know what that means they were borrowing stock they didn't own and selling it, betting on the price coming down so that they could buy it back at a cheaper price and make money. And when I say into oblivion, Stroz, they reached 140% shares, meaning of the available GameStop stock, 140% of it was sold and not owned. And so what happened is idiots, and let's be clear, this was gambling, but idiots band together, talked about what was going on, and took advantage of it. And so GameStop stock that was as low as $2 within the last calendar year ballooned. I bought in at $100. I sold out at I think $280 is where I sold out. And some shit went down last night that made me consider getting back in. The Reddit page where all these conversations were happening went down. It turned out they were just having moderation issues. They got that back up. The Discord was taken down for hate speech, which I'm not saying it didn't exist within the Discord, but that was a convenient excuse. That's not why it was taken down. And then today, a lot of these brokerage firms, and specifically Robinhood is the absolute, like, I hope they go bankrupt. I personally, I believe what they did today is criminal. I actually don't think in the United States it is, but I think what they did should be criminal. Robinhood today, over 50% of Robinhood users have GameStop stock. Over 50%. That's their user base. The idiots on Reddit who decided to play this game, they use Robinhood. And today, Robinhood decided to stop allowing people from buying, but still allowing them to sell. And a bunch of other brokers joined in. And you know what happens, Stroz? When a bunch of people can sell it but can't buy it, the price tanks. Mm-hmm. And I don't give a shit what Robinhood has to say about it. That's absolutely unacceptable. And billionaires were crying foul to saying that what was going on was market manipulation. Bullshit. Everybody has a right to talk about the stock they like. This is a bunch of idiots who don't know each other screaming on the internet. I'm not kidding, by the way. I've very much enjoyed this subreddit over the last couple of days. Screaming like we're going to the moon and emojiing rocket ship. These people are idiots. But the idiots were winning and billionaires were losing. And all of a sudden what happens? You can't buy the stock anymore. Drive the price down. It got as high as 420 and it fell as low as I believe 150 today. It was sitting, I think, closed around 240. And these numbers might be too much for you. Here's what I'm here to talk about. I don't do politics very often I don't do it on social media. I don't do it in the show. And Stroz, you know I'm passionate about it. But this isn't politics. And I'll tell you something. I've never seen anything that has rallied together right and left like this. Ted Cruz and AOC agreed on this today. AOC told her to suck it, but like, the point is, this isn't political. This is class. This is the rich versus, I don't want to say just the poor, because a lot of people are buying thousands of this stock, but this is the billionaires versus everybody else. And this is the free market. Like, that's the problem here. It's like I saw a lot of people suggesting this isn't a free market. No, this is. Robinhood didn't pull shit because they were just shits and giggles. They stopped this from happening because it was in their best interest. It was in the best interest for billionaires to keep their money. And that is where we're at. And things, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think, this is gonna be very fascinating because this is a cultural movement. This was very much like, if you weren't paying attention to this, I promise you this is a bigger deal than you realize. This was huge. This wasn't just a fun story anymore. This is, people recognize, because if you don't understand, and I'm sorry, Stroz, you haven't talked at all. We've never done this on the podcast, but the reason this worked, and they were idiots in that they were taking a risk, like a big risk. But the reason this worked is because those 140% of shares that were sold without being bought, those shares have to be bought back. And so Reddit recognized, if we buy and we buy and we buy and we don't sell, we can fuck those guys. And so they bought and they bought and they bought and they drove that shit up. And here's the thing. These billionaires could buy back in. They chose not to. In fact, they doubled down. They chose to short more in reaction. Why? Because they don't play by the same rules. We were playing football, and Reddit was winning football. And then billionaires have their connections. Look, and to make this all very clear, I don't know the exact reasons why. There's all sorts of speculation about why this happened. Robinhood has their own story. But you can't tell me, like, it wasn't just Robinhood. That's the key here. A whole bunch of companies got in on this. And it's absolutely unacceptable. The little guy won in the free market. They figured out how to win, and they were cheated. And I can't explain to you how, like, and again, so I can't say I didn't lose any on this. Because when I got out of GameStop, I bought into BlackBerry, which is another big Reddit stock. And I lost $80 on BlackBerry today. Now, thankfully, I gained $80 on BlackBerry yesterday. So ultimately, I ended up getting out at a pretty decent point. But so, like, I want to disclose that. It's not like I lost nothing by this, but in total, in the last 2 days, I'm very positive. I was an initial $100 investment. But my passion about this is not about my losses. My passion about this is that this is a broken system, and we've known it was a broken system, but today it was a broken system to your face. I don't need to go any deeper in this, Stroz. If you want to get thoughts on it, we can. We can still have fun if you want to in the middle, because we had a fun topic about this plan, and I don't know if we're going to do it or not. This whole show, I told Stroz today was going to look different. I don't know how it's going to look, but I want to plan it live.
And I'm cool with this. I need you to understand that I know I play an idiot on our show, and most of the time I'm an emotional wreck and I'm all over the place. I'm not an idiot, Beef. I understand what took place. Like, I was a guy who was, I think I was 15 when I bought my first set of stocks. So I know how to read the market. I enjoy reading the market. I enjoy playing in the market. I get what took place, and I think it's complete bullshit. And I understand. I understand why you're upset, because your football analogy is absolutely fantastic. And for those who don't understand what happened, like B said, they basically sold a whole bunch of shares that they didn't own. They were just basically, it was just moving numbers is all it was doing. And they basically crippled the stock when a couple of guys were like, oh, hey, wait, hold up. Let's do this. Now, this is funny because at my new job, I sit across from a couple of guys who are really, really into the stock market. And they've been talking about what's been going on with GameStop for probably the last 2 or 3 weeks. When this was all unfolding on Wednesday, it was absolutely bonkers because the one guy he bought in when I think it was like $16 a share, and then it went up, and then it bottomed back out, and he hurried up and he sold. He was kicking himself in the butt yesterday because it was up to, what was the highest it got up to yesterday?
I think yesterday it was around 320. It might have got to 340.
Okay.
I left at, like I said, around 290.
So at about that point, he started kicking himself in the ass, and we were all talking about it. He was fired up. He was like, man, this sucks, because he had sold. And then everything happened today with Robinhood basically not allowing you to. And for those who don't know, Robinhood is basically it's an app so you can sit there and trade
Listen
stocks.
To its damn name,
right.
Robinhood.
It's the only one rich to give to the poor.
What happened with this GameStop stock? It is Robinhood,
mm-hmm.
and Robinhood. And like, I guess I do need to be very clear here that, like, I don't have the information as to why they made this decision. My answer is it's not acceptable. If this was, cause they claim they had to, and if that's the truth, then you have no business existing.
Well,
your company should not exist.
I want to know why you have to. Does that mean the government's getting involved to do this then?
Well, no, not necessarily from that standpoint. They have legal obligations.
Well, this is the thing too. So the way I understand it, they want to do business with most of these hedge fund operators, and they want to do business with most of these mutual funds and all of these funds that are out there. So in order to kind of do that and kind of grease the wheel, you can't allow Roughshot to be ran by some dudes from Reddit to sit there and basically screw over the hands that you want to help wash, or the hands that you want to help scratch your back. So it's basically doing a favor for them. I understand why you're pissed off. You have every right to be pissed off.
Here's my belief. They're going to have enough plausible deniability to get away with anything. Like, I don't think they're going to be hurt by this. But I refuse to believe that this was in Robinhood's best interest. There's no way fucking over 50% of your customer base is in your own best interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Robinhood decided to lock buys but allow sells, any idiot could tell things were going to tank. And they did. And it rebounded some, and it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes moving forward, because Robinhood has said they're going to allow limited purchasing. And I don't want to get into the weeds because there's more detailed stuff. I'm far from an expert on this stuff, but I know enough that, like, I'll put it this way: I didn't put $100 in Clueless. I wasn't like, oh, this is. I mean, I saw it as a gamble, but like, I understood why. It's like going back to sports. It's like seeing a line and going, wait, why the hell is this the line? Why am I getting this much? And I made that gamble, and when it got to a number I was comfortable with, I said, hey, I'm not willing to play anymore. You know, I'm happy with what I've done. I'm not clueless, but I don't pretend to be an expert either. I don't know. Do you want to? So we'll kind of transition out of this. I need a break before we go into the Stafford stuff for sure. The question is this: do you want to have fun in the middle with the question we had planned, or do you want to just do sports the rest of the way?
I think we take a small detour because you obviously need to come down a little bit. I think we take a quick small detour. We ask the question that we were going to originally ask, and we have a good laugh, and then I think we transition.
So we're going to do a forced
sports.
topic segment, basically. Today.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So we're going to flip things around. We plan to fight about Stafford here. We'll do that later. And Paul, I know you're listening, and I know you're probably going to want to turn it off when we argue about Stafford, and I don't blame you, but I swear I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for you. So, you're bipolar on the Lions front office. And
I am.
and I get it, but I want to let you talk because, we're, 15 minutes in and I've done 85% of the talking.
That's true. So is this the direction you want to go? Do you want to go sports now or do you want to go the craziest advice you've ever taken?
No, what we'll do, we are now starting our original show that we had planned on email. We're going to do that show, but we're going to flip the Lions topics.
Okay. Oh, I got you. So we're gonna do why I'm bipolar with the front office. I got you. As you can tell, we are totally doing that.
I wanted to, cause here's the thing. I knew it was gonna have to be different, and I wanted the raw emotion, because honestly, Stroz, today, like, the Deshaun Watson news in Houston should have had me absolutely captured.
Yeah.
And it obviously did on some level, but not the way it should have, man. I was fuming. I was a little nervous, cause as the day's gone on, I've calmed down a little bit. I was a little nervous about how this was going to go, if I was going to have the same energy for it. And clearly I did. But I wanted to just have it all raw and just, like, figure out on the go. Because that's the way this show works now. But yeah, we're going to now, programming note, normal show the rest of the way, hopefully. we're into our sports Oreo.
I love it. Last week we were on the show, and I was basically bitching about the front office. Telling you about how I don't like how things are being handled. I'm excited about the hiring of Brad Holmes. I think Brad Holmes was a smart choice. I think it's a good choice. I didn't like how basically everybody has to bow at the feet of Rod Wood, right? That's my big apprehension with the way this entire thing is set up, and that's why I can't buy in 100% because Rod Wood's still there. And I know that we've talked about it where he's basically the front for the organization, for ownership. We basically don't want Sheila having any part of it. I get it. I understand it. The moves that they've made this weekend and they made this week have me saying, holy cow.
Hold on.
This
Maybe
might
I'm not
work.
so mad.
Like, this might actually work out. We might have an organization and a front office that has brain cells and is going to put it together. And I could actually see this working out. But the problem is, I've been hurt before, man. I've been hurt before.
I'm not gonna, see, and it's funny, cause you seem more ready to buy in than me. Even though I always get this tag of a Lions homer, I'm skeptical. I think there's been some damn big moves. And I think no move has been bigger over the last couple weeks than the John Dorsey move.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
That is a move that, and look, there were things I liked about Brad Holmes, but a move like John Dorsey is the kind of move that it helps me feel a lot better about the concerns. I don't know, man. It's tough to overlook the fact that he built a lot of the current Chiefs. Like, I think he was gone in 2016, and I understand a lot of things change in football in 4 years. But, like, let's be clear. This version of the Chiefs started with Alex Smith. They've gotten better, obviously. But, like, this is the man who drafted Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yes.
This is the man who drafted Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's a little unfair to give him credit with the Packers, but he was with the Packers organization when they drafted Rodgers.
He was the director of their scouting. So, like, this is the thing. If you look at what he's done, we both agree Aaron Rodgers is Hall of Famer, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay. So
I think Aaron Rodgers, in talent-wise, is the second best quarterback of all time, and I think Patrick Mahomes is number one.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that premise, right? So Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer. He was partially responsible. I'm willing to give him full credit for the Aaron Rodgers selection, okay? I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it, whatever.
Hey, you've been afraid to be hurt before. You're afraid to be hurt because you have before, but you're, I guess, not that afraid.
No, this is the thing. Like, I've got my bags packed. I'm ready to go on vacation right now, bro. Like, I am ready to go. Like, that's how much I want to buy into this. And then you look at Patrick Mahomes. You just said it yourself. Patrick Mahomes is going to be a Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes is unfreaking real. And you had to take a chance on Patrick Mahomes. You had to move up to get him. And he was the brains behind doing that. And then you look at what took place in Cleveland. You go out and you draft Baker Mayfield. Now, at the time, I love Baker Mayfield. I love a lot of things about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was not the guy I would have selected number 1 overall. But it's working with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland.
Here's what I would say about Baker. I think Baker is disappointing for what you get out of a number 1 overall quarterback. However, I think if you could tell me the Lions were going to take a quarterback this year and his floor was Baker Mayfield, I would be thrilled. Because Baker Mayfield is a starting NFL quarterback. And it's not the dream scenario, but you feel safe if that's the worst you can get. And that's the thing though, man. Like, it goes beyond quarterback. Like, yeah, Mahomes and Rodgers and Mayfield. He built the Chiefs team that Patrick Mahomes took over.
Yep.
He built the Browns, and I know the Browns were disappointing last year, but he built the majority of this Cleveland Browns roster, and he's not the GM. I think that's also a key. He's in the front office. He has to be a name they put. You don't hire a John Dorsey without the intentions of believing him, letting his word have a lot of pull. And so I like that he's not the final decision maker. I like that you have this guy who's hit on a lot of moves in the front office, but there's somebody else to have checks and balances on that guy.
Yeah, I like it too. And especially because Brad Holmes is a guy who really, really likes analytics. He's a guy who's kind of got a fresh take on, I guess we can call it the new NFL. John Dorsey's a little bit of an older guy who doesn't really necessarily buy into the analytics, but has an eye for talent. It's amazing that you can merge these two and get something great when the draft rolls around. Like, I'm so excited. Like, we talk about how the draft is the Detroit Lions Super Bowl, right? I mean, a couple years ago, I damn near got naked standing next to you to run around. And that's how much we love the draft. That's how much, at least I love the draft. I love nothing more than the Underwear Olympics. And unfortunately, we're not going to get the Combine this year. But you've got these two guys who see things just a little bit different, but they're really successful at what it is that they do. So it's going to be interesting to see how they merge this. And then you add in Ray Agnew as well, who's going to be the director of the pro personnel. I think it's the front office is put together really, really well. I'm excited for this front office.
A couple notes in the front office we'll get into a little later, meaning another day. I don't think today. I think one big thing to watch now is you have a GM and you have John Dorsey both who have shown a willingness to take a risk on talent with off the field issues. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you feel about that. I think both sides are justifiable. I'm team take chances.
I am too. Who are you talking to? Come on. I'm the guy who basically puts his wiener in a cactus, and I'm like, let's see if it gets pricked.
I think it's fair not to be that guy, though, Stroz, is all I'm saying. The one last thing I want to get in front office before we move on to kind of coaching staff more specifically. You still have concerns about Rod Wood?
Yes, because everybody still has to report to Rod Wood.
See, and my problem is, you had this kind of belief last week that Rod Wood was gonna, be heavily involved in football decisions. And to me, you bring all these guys into the room
it's come down a little bit. So after all these hires,
when you go and get a John Dorsey and a Ray Agnew, it just, to me, it goes, you're telling me all these people, I don't think you make the John Dorsey hire if he's concerned that Rod Wood is making football decisions. Hey, you said you wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in Houston. I think the Texans hired the guy they hired at head coach for a reason. I think that the head coach, the prospective head coaches knew that Deshaun Watson was headed out the door. They knew about what's going on with Jack Easterby. They knew they weren't going to have control. And so you got to give it to a guy who's been an assistant coach for how many years? He hasn't been a coordinator in 30 years is my understanding. Yeah. So I don't think you land a guy like John Dorsey, who absolutely was going to be a value piece wherever he landed, if he's concerned that Rod Wood is making decisions. I just don't believe it.
And because of that, like I said, I have gone from basically being on a 12 with hating Rod Wood, hating the fact that Rod Wood had any part to do with anything, the fact that he's everybody has to report to him and he's in the front office. I've now dialed it back, and we'll say conservatively, I'm about a 5.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I still think it's too high because I'm a 1.
I'm not running and screaming, but the fact that he's still there bothers me.
You, someone who runs on a natural 7, I can take a 5.
I think that's the best way to put it too. I do. I run hot.
Okay.
What do you think about these? What do you think about these hires for the coaching staff?
So I I don't want to be irresponsible with the Anthony Lynn hire because I don't know his offensive philosophy, and I personally have a very strong belief in what an offensive philosophy needs to look like. I know he's had a ton of success running the football, and I do believe there's value in being successful running the football. What I don't want to do is prioritize running the football. So I haven't decided what I'm going to go back and watch yet, Stroz. I'm either going to try and watch his time as the Chargers manager or coach, I don't want to say manager, or the offensive coordinator with the Bills, right?
Yes.
I think that's probably the right call. He called plays in Buffalo for, I believe, one season. I think that's probably the best place to get his philosophy. That's the one thing I want to rewatch. That being said, I know he's had a lot of success with not a ton of weapons to work with. I know that, both him and, is the quarterback coach? I can't recall who it was. There were a couple signs that the Lions could very much be looking for a mobile quarterback. Anthony Lynn being one of those signs, a guy who's worked with mobile quarterbacks consistently. And I didn't need it the way you did, but I have an appreciation for a former head coach on the staff.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's done it. He's been there before. Now, I would tell you not to read too much into that Buffalo Bills team when he was the OC there. Really have to take a deep dive and look at what was going on with the quarterback situation there. I mean, I think what you had last year, and look, I don't believe he was the OC for the Chargers, with Herbert taking off. He obviously wanted to bring Herbert along a little bit slower. Obviously, he got put into a spot where he had to rush him in there. And the thing is, Herbert showed that he could handle it and he could do it. Now, the thing was, I thought that offense took some shots downfield. I don't necessarily think that he's
Justin
coming
Herbert
in.
sure shit did.
Right. I'm thinking, I don't think coming in as the offensive coordinator of this Detroit Lions team that it's going to have to be a run-heavy offense. I think depending on what you have, I think this offensive coordinator and this offensive staff can kind of mold what this team's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a team that similar to what Matt Patricia wanted, where we're gonna run the ball a lot. It's gonna be ground and pound, and then we're just gonna take some shots downfield every now and again. I don't necessarily think it's going to be that.
I just don't want to be irresponsible in loving it. Like, I'm all in on the John Dorsey hire. That is the one one hire that really gets me excited.
Me and you are in lockstep with it.
I liked the Anthony Lynn one when I saw it, but I don't have the information. I haven't watched enough to get a real feel for his philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Glenn's the defensive coordinator, right?
Correct.
That one, I know that people in the NFL loved it. I'm not going to pretend to have any idea.
The one thing that makes me feel good about, the one thing that makes me feel good about that hire is Marshawn Lattimore really came out and praised him. It sounds like he was supposed to get his shot at being a defensive coordinator next year. So this might be, Dan Campbell taking a shot on a guy early who he sees something with because he's worked with him closely.
And I know people in the NFL said it's a great move. And I know, here's the thing. I'm always cautious on stuff like this. It's something that I wasn't at a younger age. And it's where I think you cushion the blow when you're trying to, not buy in too deep, Stroz. People love a lot of their position group hires. Mm-hmm. Like, I know people love the Deuce Staley.
Deuce Staley. I was going to bring that up to you.
I don't know shit about Deuce Staley or what he does. So I'm not gonna go all in on it, but you'd like to read that people are loving the positional group hires that the Lions are making.
Well, what I can tell you about the Deuce Staley hire is he's had running backs that have really, really performed. Like, the Eagles running backs have done a really good job over the last 3 seasons, and that's with him as the running backs coach. Now, is that more him being the running backs coach, or is that more of the offense? Right. Or is that more of the offensive scheme that they ran? You're right. You're absolutely right. It's really hard to read in between those lines, but people really seem to love this hire. The other hire that I'm excited about, it's the special teams coordinator, Dave Flip. And look, this is another guy who's coming over from Philadelphia. The Eagles ranked, second in special teams touchdowns, last year. So this is a guy who's been able to have a lot of success with his special teams unit. Again, penalties are usually a problem for the Detroit Lions. Last year, the Eagles accounted, I think, for the 5th fewest special teams penalties, which is nice to see. So you don't have to worry about flags flying all over the place when your special teams unit's out there. But he's a guy who's had a lot of success being a special teams coordinator. And I think he's a guy who's going to come in, and I think he can pick right up there And I think that helps strengthen that unit, you know?
Is there anything else you need to get into with the coaching staff?
No, I like a lot of the moves that Dan Campbell has made, and it's made me feel a lot better about his hire.
All right. I think we're very much in lockstep here. I love the John Dorsey hire. I like a lot of what I've heard about the coaching staff. I'm just not, it's funny enough, I think I'm guarding myself more than you are.
Yeah, like I said, I basically have my underwear on. That's it. I've got suitcases packed, and I'm ready to jump aboard this Lions train. It's so weird because to go from where I was last week, where I was hating everything, to now being like, all right, cool, let's go. I'm ready. Let's go skinny dipping. Who's with me? Come on, B, let's go.
All right, now quick pivot here, just because we spent 12 minutes at the start of the show with me bitching.
It was more like 15.
No, you talked for 3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I only bitched for 12. But we wanted to ask the question, who's the stupidest person / stupidest place you've taken advice? And I think putting $100 in GameStop, which is we both know damn well it's not worth $100 a share. I think listening to Reddit is probably the stupidest thing I've ever done. It obviously worked, but it's the stupidest thing I've ever done.
So, you would think I would have a bajillion of stories just to come up with and
you might
tell
not realize them. They might have come to the front of your mind. There's no way you don't have good stories.
That's kind of where I'm at. And the funny thing was when we were kind of messaging back and forth about this, basically it all boils down to making bad decisions with women and
Stroz is I take the worst advice from myself.
And putting myself in these really, really horrible situations. So I don't know. I struggled a little bit. And the one that really popped into my mind very, very quickly was I was probably a freshman in college. I think it was my first semester at Wayne State. So this was forever ago. This was back in 2011. I had this girl who was hitting on me, and I was just kind of a dunce. Didn't really know what was going on. She invited me back to her place. And,
oh my God. And you didn't realize?
I had no clue what was going on. She invited me back to her place. Mind you, I had a girlfriend at the time.
Ooh.
And I was like, all right, cool. So I just thought we were going to go there and study because I was all about getting good grades. Believe it or not, B, I was all about getting good grades.
Not a fucking chance.
Not about getting some of the sticky icky from her. So anyways, she starts hitting on me, and next thing you know, she's like, hey, why don't we go lay down in my bed? And I was like, well, that's weird. I was like, but I could use a nap.
You sound like me!
Right.
I think I'd have been more aware, but the mindset sounds more like me.
Yes. So I ended up going lay down in her bed, and I didn't end up doing anything, but I had to get up and I kind of kept her off of me. She was kind of grinding her butt up on me, and I was like, what is going on? This is weird. So anyways, I ended up getting up. I was like, I really have to go to work. So I made an exit, and I ended up calling my buddy, and he was like, you're an idiot. She wants to bang. Are you going back there tonight? Because you really should. And I was like, oh, maybe I should go back there tonight.
Because you should. I thought you just said you had a girlfriend, Stroz.
Did. But I still went back.
This is the weirdest combo ever of me and you.
But I still went back there that night, and I banged. And that was how Yvonne, let's get it on, unleashed my freak flag. So, it was good.
So wait, hold on. Her name's Yvonne, I assume.
Yeah. Me and my buddies nicknamed her Yvonne, let's get it on.
You said she unlocked your freak side. Is she why you are who you are today?
A part of the reason, yeah. She did all kinds of dirty, nasty things to me, and I loved every moment of it. And basically, every broad after that has her to thank because she just showed me all kinds of really cool, interesting things.
Cool, interesting. Look at you cleaning it up.
I'm trying to be polite here, B. Trying to be polite.
I'm so taken aback because, one, this story has absolutely nothing to do with the question I asked you.
I took his advice. He was like, you should go back there.
I guess that's fair. You're right. He did tell you to go back. I missed that part because that was such a small part of the story.
Really tiny, right.
But I'm flabbergasted by who you were back in, you said 2011?
Yeah. I'm totally different now than how I was coming out of high school and probably that first year of college. That by the time the second year rolled around, I just didn't care. I didn't give a fuck. It was whatever. I was just gonna do me and be me.
As far as my story goes, when did you learn about what was going on? Do you know what the dollar point was where you learned about what was going on with GameStop?
I don't know what the dollar point was. I can give you a rough estimation of the time of day, Eastern Standard Time. So I would say it was probably close to about 11 o'clock in the morning. So probably 10 o'clock your time.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. It's actually not that different than me. It had gotten all the way up to 150. And, or you know what? No, I heard of it the day before, but didn't know anything about it. But yesterday I got on Reddit and I saw, like, I read why they were doing what they were doing. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so it kind of convinced me to buy in. I don't know. It's so weird calling it stupid when you make $200 in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's stupid, but I think it's a shady place to take some financial advice.
Yeah,
from.
Financial advice. Like, It was, like, when I told my dad, I was like, hey dad, I bought in at 100, I sold at 300. And I told him because he's super in, like, finance is his hobby. Like, he watches CNBC all day. His response was not like, oh, awesome, that's cool, like, whatever. Like, his response was, you better be careful with that. Like, I'd already sold. I was out.
You were out.
And his answer was, you better be careful.
You made a hot $200 a share. Your dad's like, you better be careful.
Oh, you made $200 in 20 hours? Watch yourself there, bud. He texted me today too, cause he knew I bought into BlackBerry with my gains. I almost said him my winnings, like this was gambling.
Right.
And he's like, I hope you got out. And I was like, not as soon as I should have, but I did.
That's funny. So like over the weekend, legalized sports betting was a thing here, and it was a huge thing here. Do you have that down in Houston?
No, and you know what's funny? I have a group chat that is mostly to talk about daily fantasy sports, but it has some gambling mixed in, and this story has gotten mixed in as well, all the GameStop stuff. And I'm like putting it on Twitter every couple like hours and in the chat, like I keep telling people to stop me from being irresponsible. And one of my friends joked, like, Brendan just wants to gamble. And like, to be totally honest with you, the first segment's why I want to put more money back in. It actually has very little, like, I'm not even trying to make money. Like, the reason I need to convince myself not to put more money back in is because fuck billionaires. Like, I watched a TikTok where this boyfriend was asking his girlfriend, like, what was going on, because she was invested and he wasn't. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what's going on right now? Or he's asking, and she goes, well, they want us to sell, but they made the mistake of thinking, I'm in it for the money, when I was never in it for the money. I just want to eat the rich. The only question at this point is whether or not I have dipping sauce. And I was like, that's me. Like, I almost want to throw money back in just to fuck you. Like, not even to make money. And like, that's I don't have the money to do that. It would be incredibly irresponsible, but I'm dead serious. I battled that feeling today, Stroz, because I'm not on Robinhood. I'm on Merrill Lynch. Like, they place limitations, but their limitations were basically that, like, you have to, you had to have the money in your account, basically, to purchase. So I still could have purchased today. And I got myself thinking the same thing today, man. Like, I watched the Robinhood on, CEO. My dad texted me because he knew how, like, pissed off I was about everything. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna go back into the first segment a little bit. Mm-hmm. I want to read to you the text that I sent my dad.
They're connected, so it's cool. They're totally connected. That's the whole reason where we ended up, that's why we came up with this middle topic.
So, this is what I texted my dad today. I didn't realize how much I texted him today.
You were fired up today. Like, we talked in the middle of the day for a little, briefly we texted, and you were pretty fired up. You were pretty livid and hot and
I texted him at 9:30 in the morning, I'm out, so it doesn't affect me, but Robinhood allowing sales, but not purchases of GameStop should be illegal. He said he agreed. I said, what happened today? Many places not allowing buying is absolutely criminal. I said, it's why the free market isn't a free market. Big money wins in a free market. I said, free market in name only. It's all a fucking game to help billionaires. Mm-hmm. I hope people go to jail. Yeah, I honestly think people that making those decisions should go to jail, but I'm sure that isn't actually criminal. I will genuinely, Stroz, tell me if, we've talked about if I'm petty or not. This is a text message I sent to my dad today. I will genuinely celebrate if anyone goes to jail from this. I get why what's happening is dangerous, but show is shorting 140% of stock. Mm-hmm.
I love how you're petty.
I'm not though. That's the thing. I'm not petty. When I get to petty, it tells you where I'm at. I am not a petty person.
That's how you know you're pissed.
If I'm rooting for you to go to jail, you have done something wrong. You could steal money from me and I wouldn't root for you to go to jail. If somebody broke into my house and stole, obviously if they stole everything, maybe it's different. If I came home and found out the $200 that I made on GameStop were missing, I don't even know if I'd root for you to go to jail. But if you fucking tell people they can't buy stock because you want to help billionaires,
you know what's
hope
going.
You can't buy a car.
You know what's going in the very front of our episode, right? All of this. I love it. Hey, have you watched Dirty Money on Netflix at all?
No.
Oh, you should, like, if this fires you up, because you talk about how I'm this crazy, whacked out conspiracy theorist, right? I don't really think I'm, he's like, yeah, okay. Here's the thing, man. There's a lot of stuff that me and you are really in line about. And there's a lot of stuff where, like I said, I know I play a boob on our podcast, and I'm kind of a goof, right? Because really and truly in real life, I am a goof. Like, whether you realize it or not, I really was into politics, like super hot and heavy. And I actually wanted to be an attorney is what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a prosecuting attorney. That's what I was going to school for early on. And then I just said, screw it all. I figured out I really love sports, and I like to banter, and I like to talk about wieners, and I like to talk about hot chicks.
Whoa. Where does that fit in? Nobody in sports talks about wieners.
Bro, I brought it up earlier. So, I mean, people in sports, I'm using finger quotes, they don't talk about wieners, but I talk about wieners, and it's okay. So it's what it is. But anyways, check out Dirty Money is all I'm saying. Check out Dirty Money. Like, you'll watch the first episode. The second episode's kind of shit. I haven't really gotten to the third one yet because I just don't have the time. I also have seasons 2 and 3 of Gilmore Girls on DVD. So I've got Gossip Girls.
Okay.
Woo! Not Gilmore Girls.
We narrowly escaped a big one there.
Whatever.
I was gonna be like, hold on. Did you watch how much did you watch?
I haven't watched any yet. I got the DVDs.
You bought DVDs?
I didn't buy them. Alyssa had them. She dug them out of a box for me.
What does she think about me liking Gossip Girl?
So she was pissed off that I was willing to watch.
For me, but not for her?
Yes. Gossip Girl. And it's girl, right? It's not plural. It's singular,
yeah,
right?
Girl.
Okay, so she was pissed off that I was willing to watch Gossip Girl for you, but there are shows on Netflix that I just will not watch.
All I can say is, Alyssa, I win. I win. I'm more important. I don't know what to tell you.
So she was quite upset about that. But she got the DVDs for me reluctantly, and she was like, here you go. She was like, I just want you to know this was one of my all-time favorite shows, so I will gladly watch these with you. So you and my girlfriend might get along really, really well. You might have if she's ever gonna and I don't know why she's with me, she should really just put me in a box and set me out front. If you ever you just slid in, you could totally slide in and just be that wingman that becomes the number one. I'm just saying. Just putting it out there for you, bro.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. That would be an uncomfortable conversation off recording, Stroz. But I appreciate that.
I'd be there I get it. I get it, because you guys like a lot of the same stuff. I get it. I don't know.
Same TV shows. That's the thing, Stroz. I like the same TV shows as a lot of women.
Plus, she thinks you're super wholesome and cute.
That's just the truth. I don't know what to tell you about it. I don't know why I'm out here butting all the time.
I'm over here with my freak flag flying out of my ass,
Stroz is hitting grand slam. He's actually missing, but he thinks he's hitting grand slams. The only reason he ever gets on base is because they're intentional walking him to get to me so they can throw a double play.
That means I'm out sliding into second, and I think I'm okay with that.
All right, we can get back into sports. I'm not sure I'm ready to scream again. I'm really not sure I'm ready to do this topic.
That's all right. You can tell me I'm an idiot. Here's the thing. This is what's funny about this topic. I said, hey, I really want to discuss this with you because I think we're going to approach it from different points of view. And I sent you, I want to talk about why it didn't work with Matt Stafford. And you're like, you're a fucking idiot. And I was like, Can we go to the text message again? Yeah, let's go to the text message. And I was like, okay, great. This is going to be perfect then.
Okay, God, where did it start? Because this was incredible. Talked about Robin Hood. Okay, you said, why did Matt Stafford not work in Detroit? That was your text. I said, LOL, this is a dumb question. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a good question for the podcast, but my answer is going to be, he did fucking work, you dumb fuck. Mm-hmm.
Which I think is great, because I don't think he worked here. I don't think he worked here. No, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What'd you win, B? What'd you win? You won a couple of games here and there. You think you had what? One, maybe two 11-win seasons?
No way! The team that hasn't won championships since the 50s didn't win?
I mean,
like, that's
you'd
so
even win a
stupid.
playoff game, though, man. Like, you've done nothing.
That's what happens when you fucking suck! I don't know what to tell you!
I get it, but he didn't work here. But why didn't he work here? Why didn't it work? Because, look.
Jesus wouldn't have worked here!
Listen. Me and you both can agree. Matt Stafford's a pretty good quarterback, right? You like him a lot more than I like him. But I'm not going to say that he's not a good quarterback. Guy's got a cannon for an arm. I think the guy is tough as nails. I think he has the ability to put a team on his back and carry them. I will willingly admit to you, I think Matt Stafford is good for 5 wins a season by himself. Okay? I don't know what more you really want from your quarterback, but I think he's good for 5 wins a season. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment?
Sure.
Okay. So
I used to work that way. I struggle a little bit more now after this year for the Lions and specifically this year for the Texans. Cause like, I thought Watson was good for at least 7 wins and they won 4. But like, I'm for the most part subscribed to your thought process.
Okay. So, I mean, this year didn't really have much of a defense. The offense was kind of hit or miss. It was a really weird season for them, right? Hold on, my insulin pump is beeping at me and telling me I'm about to die. Let me hit a button or two. Alright, there we go. So, for whatever reason, it didn't work here. He had a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Calvin Johnson. They never gave him a run game. We can both agree on that, right? Never gave him a run game. Invested multiple second-round picks in running backs, and just none of them ever really panned out. The one year he did have a bit of a run game with Javid Best was probably their best season as a team, but
no, the offensive line, Bush, but Javid Best would be second.
Okay, offensive line, I think this is probably his best offensive line that he's had. I think we've gone back and we've watched a couple different seasons with our Lions rewatch, and the offensive line, not very good. This offensive line, probably his best. Just unfortunate that this team was in complete and utter disarray all season long. I think the reason that it didn't work here with the Detroit Lions was because Matt Stafford didn't demand more. And what I mean by that, before you go off on me, before you yell at me, alright? What I mean by that, Matt Stafford never went in the office and said, hey, you have to get me this. Hey, this coach isn't working. We need this.
How do you know that? Are you in the room? How do you fucking know what Matt Stafford said?
No, you're right. I'm not in the room. But look, the one time that he does do it, everybody knows about it. That's why he's getting traded. I sent you a message when we were talking about him, when the news broke that he wanted to be traded. All right? I said, I've never respected this man more than in this moment right here. Because he's telling the organization, screw you, I want out, I don't want to do this anymore with you. All right? Does Matt Stafford strike you as the guy to be like, to go to Martha, or to go to Mr. Ford, or to go to Martin Mayhew, or to go to, Bob Quinn and say, hey, I need a better offensive line. Hey, I need running back. Hey, I need a coach who knows what the hell he's doing.
Okay. Number one,
I think Matt Stafford in his silence held this
I don't fucking know back. Matthew Stafford. 2, Aaron Rodgers has been very public about the shit that's going on in Green Bay, that they won't get him a damn wide receiver. And look at what good it's done. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that cachet in Green Bay, why the fuck do you think Matthew Stafford does?
Because this organization worships him. Don't tell me they don't.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
He's their franchise player. He's their face of their franchise.
I'm not saying it can't get there. I'm not saying it will never get there, but right here, right now, that is not the world in football. And on top of that, you're the same kind of guy, I don't actually know where you stand on this, but I'm just going to assume, who would trash LeBron James for demanding certain pieces.
I'm trying to think.
You're that kind of guy. I don't know if you are in that circumstance, but it fits your demographic.
It depends on what the situation is, I think. I don't have a lot of love for LeBron.
Let me play some games real quick. Did Jimmy Garoppolo work in San Francisco?
Got him to a Super Bowl.
So yes.
Yes.
Then I don't even have any more conversation. We're done. Because guess what? San Francisco is the current favorite to land Matthew Stafford, and Jimmy Garoppolo's on the fucking team. If Jimmy Garoppolo worked in San Francisco and Matt Stafford didn't work in Detroit, the problem isn't what worked and what didn't work. It's you, Stroz, because you are reading the room wrong.
At any point, has Matt Stafford ever come across as anything more than the yes man for the organization?
Do you think Matt Stafford is a Gemini, or is he a Taurus? A Cancer?
I don't know. I can look up his birthday if you'd like.
What's his moon sign?
I can look up his birthday if you'd like.
How about what year was he, like, what is it, your Chinese symbol? I don't even know what the hell what is that?
Yeah, your Chinese zodiac symbol.
Your zodiac
I'm a boar,
symbol?
by the way. Yeah.
You're a boar? What do you think Matt Stafford is? We should start reading his zodiac sign.
It might be a dragon.
Dragon? No, I don't think
it's
it's dragon. Dragon was introduced in like 2000, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Like, what the hell? Does Matt Stafford seem like the kind of guy who'd have a firm handshake, or do you think he's a limp noodle?
You know, I like how you just kind of dismiss all of this, but
because we don't know Matthew Stafford. What the hell are we talking about his personality traits?
Dude, does it not, like, sometimes it's so hard to have this conversation with Matt Stafford with you because you love Matt Stafford so much, and I get it.
No,
I get
that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
No, you do. You love him.
I do love him, but that has nothing to do with it. You want to say I don't live in reality when it comes to Matt Stafford. I will accept that. Neither do you.
I just told you that he's a good quarterback. I don't hate on him just to hate on him.
You hate on his personality traits. What the fuck are we doing here?
It didn't work here. And I think I think he was part of the problem is what I'm trying to tell you. I think the organization in it and of itself, right, is absolutely brutal and horrible. Okay? We can both agree on that. All right? But I think Matt Stafford played a part in the reason that things just didn't work out here. For whatever reason. Whether it wasn't him demanding enough, whether it wasn't him doing other things, whether it wasn't him early in his career going and grabbing guys and doing 7-on-7 drills. I don't know. I think Matt Stafford was part of his own problem why it didn't work here. And that's my point.
My issue is when you start with the premise that Matt Stafford didn't work and Jimmy Garoppolo did, we're not being honest. We're not.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo worked because he had a hell of a coach in Kyle Shanahan. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Okay. I also think that they had a really good freaking defense. The one year that you gave Matt Stafford a good defense, you got to the playoffs. You didn't win anything, but you got to the playoffs.
But would they have won anything with the current version of Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback?
With the Lions?
The man threw 2 touchdowns in 3 playoff games.
Right. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
The problem is, you agree that what's different between Stafford you're basically saying Jimmy Garoppolo worked in San Francisco because he had a good team, and Stafford didn't work in Detroit because he had a bad team. But you're saying, you're implying that falls on Stafford, and that doesn't make sense.
No, what I'm saying is Stafford didn't demand enough. Stafford didn't do enough.
Let me ask you
while
this question.
he was here.
If Stafford demanded whatever it was that he thought he needed, but they still never won a playoff game, would he have worked in Detroit?
It wouldn't be his fault then. I think this goes back to why it didn't work, right? And I think part of it is his fault, why it didn't work. Because I don't think he was vocal enough. I don't think he was a vocal enough leader in the room or in the organization.
So what is the position that Detroit failed to address that Matt Stafford should have said, what the fuck are we doing? Get me one of these.
It could have been the defense.
No, could it have been? What was it?
It could have been anything. There were so many issues.
I agree, because they couldn't talent evaluate.
Specifically for the offense, you needed a run game. Yes?
Yeah, how many times did they draft a running back? My point is, the problem was within finding talent. There's not a single position that in the tenure of Matt Stafford's career, the Lions ignored for the whole time. Not a single one. They had an elite linebacking core at one point in time. They had an elite secondary at one point in time. They had an elite defensive line at one point in time. I guess if you wanted to argue that there was a stretch where they didn't pay enough attention to wide receiver, maybe. But they also at one point had Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate, and at another point had Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay, and Marvin Jones. They drafted a running back every 2 years. The offensive line, they poured resources in. The Lions have drafted an offensive lineman in the top 3 rounds 9 times in the last year.
They invested all of this. Then why didn't it work? Why didn't it work?
Because talent evaluation was the problem. Matt Stafford can't say, I need talent evaluate better.
At one point you had a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Calvin Johnson. You had Golden Tate. You had Reggie Bush. You have all these pieces. And yet it doesn't work.
You just said that the problem with Matt Stafford was that he didn't speak up. He didn't demand more. And I'm asking you, what did he need to demand? What did the organization ignore?
Whether it be coaching, right? Get me a better coach. Get me better players. Anything.
Do you think that changes? Get me better players. Stroz, give me $1 million. I'm done with this podcast.
No.
Does that change your odds of getting me $1 million?
When you're the face of your franchise, your voice carries weight. Okay? And you can't tell me it doesn't.
Fine,
you can't. If Lamar Jackson goes into I don't know who the GM of Baltimore is, But if Lamar Jackson goes into the GM's office, right, and he says, hey, I love John Harbaugh. It just isn't working out. He's not putting me in a right spot.
Bro,
you don't think they'd be looking for a different coach?
What I'm saying is, even if that's true, let's assume it does carry weight. There isn't a single thing you can point to. It's not like the Lions said, fuck the offensive line. We don't want an offensive lineman. Like, there's a very clear example in Green Bay. They refuse to draft wide receivers high. Aaron Rodgers can say, get me a wide receiver because they never do it. Matt Stafford couldn't say that about anything. There's nowhere where he could point and say, the one thing you could maybe make a case on, maybe, was firing Matt Patricia. Because Jim Schwartz had success early. It would have been completely unreasonable to ask him to be fired. Jim Caldwell has the best winning percentage in Lions history. It would have been unreasonable to ask for him to get fired earlier. Matt Patricia is the single example in Matt Stafford's career you could make the case he should have been gone earlier. That's it.
No, you can go back to Jim Caldwell when Joe Lombardi was your offensive coordinator, and it just wasn't working. Stafford could have pulled Caldwell to the side and said, look,
Stafford's
this isn't working.
First year with Lombardi was one of the best years of his entire career. It's when he became, when he reached a different status? It was early on with Lombardi.
It was that second year that was absolutely trash.
So you're supposed to preemptively fire him?
No, but when it's not
fired him in that second year, didn't they?
Yes, halfway through.
So it's so nitpicky. Your problem is this. You would if Jimmy Garoppolo was the Lions quarterback with the numbers that he had and they won a Super Bowl, you would praise Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's not fair. It's not right. It's not accurate.
Jimmy Garoppolo has won playoff games, right? Matt Stafford hasn't won anything. We talk about Ryan Tannehill. We did a podcast a while ago talking about Ryan Tannehill. And you wanted to dismiss Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill has way more playoff games won than Matt Stafford.
I don't honestly remember when that was because
it was a while ago.
I've been on the Tannehill train for quite a while, easily into last year. So I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to.
It was a while ago.
I just think it's ridiculous to play this game. So
what do you think the problem was? Why weren't they able to win a playoff game?
Because they were never a good enough team. And there is one season. I remain adamant about this. There was one season where I think you could place the blame on Matt Stafford. He played here for what?
12 years.
12 years? He played here for 12 years. I'm willing to put one season at his feet. In 2013 or 14, whatever year it was, they won 11 games. That team should have won a playoff game.
Was it the Dallas playoff game?
Yes. That team should have won a playoff game. It's also worth noting he led a touchdown drive to take the lead late in the fourth quarter of that game. He wasn't perfect, and he was not good enough that season. They should have had a first round bye, and they didn't. But aside from that season, I don't think there's a single other year in his career where they were good enough. He brought them to playoff contention because he was a good quarterback. If you put Jimmy Garoppolo, if you took Jimmy Garoppolo's career to this point, extrapolated it to 12 years, and made him the quarterback of the Lions for 12 years, I believe they make one playoff. One and only one. And that's 2014.
So we kind of touched on Deshaun Watson and his trade demands becoming public. That kind of skews, I guess, a little bit of the marketplace, right, for Matt Stafford.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because Deshaun Watson, obviously, an elite talent. Matt Stafford, I think, is the tier behind him. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, much
and he's younger, too.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
No,
much younger.
The markets aren't comparable. Honestly, I find myself wondering if Stafford can possibly get traded before Watson.
Well, this is the thing. This is my question for you. What's your expectations for compensation? Because before Watson came out and said anything, mine was a first and a third this year, and then I wanted a second the following year. And I don't know if that's too much.
Here's the thing. I think they should be shooting for 2 firsts. Mm-hmm. And I said this, I did a live reaction video when the news came out that he had demanded a trade. And what I said is,
I was in the shower when you wanted to do that.
I tried to get Stroz to hop on. No, I just
so sorry.
I needed to talk right away. One of the points I made, Stroz, is that I don't know if in the history of the NFL there's ever been a better time to trade a 30-year-old quarterback. Mm-hmm. Because the Colts, the Steelers, the Saints, the football team, and the Bears, that's 5 playoff teams who most likely need a quarterback upgrade if they're going to win anything in the short term. Beyond that, you have the Patriots probably in play. You have San Francisco in play. You're probably starting to drop off there, but that's 7 teams. The Panthers may be in the conversation. That's 7 teams that view themselves as winners who need a quarterback if they want to be that. So I think you should fully go in expecting 2 firsts. A first, second, and third probably is ambitious, because I think it's probably the equivalent of 2 firsts, honestly. But like a first and a second plus, like a first, second, 4. I definitely think a first and a second should be the minimum expectation.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Again, my thought process is there's so many teams that need a quarterback, right? And
it's a good market to be a seller in.
It really is.
Part of why I think it makes sense to move now.
And I think Matt Stafford, I think this move by Matt Stafford is kind of it's almost like him tipping his hat to the organization, right? Because he could have did what Calvin Johnson did, right? Just, I'm out. Could have did what Barry Sanders did.
He wants to retire.
No, I get it, right? Like, he could have just walked away. He really could have.
If that's what he wanted.
Right.
It's
right.
Kind of
Nobody
silly
knows.
To play that game, in my opinion.
Nobody knows, right? But he's like, hey, trade me. And I think this is a fantastic move by him. It's a nice power play by him. So hopefully he goes to a freaking winner. And I think the organization will do right. I think the organization will do right by him. I know that if he goes to a team, that team will very quickly become my second favorite team. I'm wondering if you're going to root.
Just as much. I'll root for them equally as much as the Lions.
Yeah. It's just because I would love to see him win. I would love to see him win. And like, look, I know we paint me as a Stafford hater. Okay?
No, I don't even think you're a Stafford hater. I really don't. You just, like, it's the things that you attack him on that bothers me. Like, you attacking him on him not wanting enough is bullshit because we don't know that. We don't have that information, so I think it's bullshit to say that. I also don't think it would have changed anything. So I really don't think you're a Stafford hater. I just think the things you hate on him for are ridiculous.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
I think those are very different things. I don't think you think Stafford's a bad quarterback.
I've come around to Stafford over the last, I would say, probably 2, maybe 3 years. There was a point, like you said, with Lombardi where he made a monster jump. And I respected that. And then over the last 2 or 3 years, like, I don't think he's an elite quarterback, but I think
not anymore. I think he had a stint where he flirted with it, but the league's gotten too good.
There's this tier where he's at where he can go to any team. He's going to make that team a contender. He's going to make that team a winning team. It just, for some reason, didn't work here, for whatever reason.
It's kind of funny, and we really need to wrap this, but it's kind of funny that you say that, because I almost think you're giving him too much credit, and I think that's why you blame him so much. I do not believe Matthew Stafford makes you an instant contender. I believe that Matthew Stafford makes a good team an instant contender. But that's the difference.
That might be how I should have phrased it.
Well, I say that because I don't think Stafford played on very many good teams in his 12 years here.
So let's do this real quick, right? Some of the teams that you named. I think he goes to Washington, makes them an instant contender. I think
he makes them an outside contender, but yes. Like, I'd put them at the very bottom. You know how when they're Super Bowl odds, like, you get to a point where the odds are like, yeah, this is ridiculous? Mm-hmm. They would be like the last team before they start to get ridiculous.
Obviously the Colts. That's probably a favorite.
Sure.
San Francisco.
I think San Francisco becomes as big of a favorite as anybody but Kansas City.
I agree with you. The Panthers, I need to see more. Trying to think, who else did you name?
Here's the teams that I would say that become like
New England. I think New England becomes really dangerous.
I'm gonna say San Francisco.
They have a ton of cap
Pittsburgh.
space. Yeah,
Pittsburgh
for sure.
Colts with third, but like a clear third to me. Mm-hmm. I guess the Saints too, but I think they're kind of probably going with Jameis.
They need.
I think those are the
help
four
with their cap space. Their cap
real
space.
And genuine contenders.
I would agree. And what is it? That's 8th and 9th of the league. So, I mean, you could go to any of those teams, and I think instantly we're talking, what are their Super Bowl aspirations?
All right. I think this makes our longest podcast ever.
But you did go take a shit in the middle of it, so.
That took 2 minutes. I don't think that would. I don't think that has anything to do with it being our longest podcast ever.
You're probably right. This was probably the most yelling we've ever done. I think the lady downstairs is probably upset.
I wonder between like doing podcasts and playing video games and making TikToks. Like I think my upstairs neighbors are probably like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
Did you not make friends with them?
No.
You don't talk to anybody in your complex.
Talked about this before. No, I've never made friends with a single like person in my complex ever.
Dude, like, so you have people, you have extremely Hispanic people on the one side of you, and then
they moved out.
Oh, they moved out? Did like a hot chick move in?
I don't never seen the new people yet.
Oh man, what about on your other side? Anybody?
Nobody. No.
And then upstairs, you've not met them?
Nope.
Bro, you live in a complex. There's gotta be hot chicks everywhere. What are you doing? You're sitting on prime real estate, B. You should just be running around. Yeah. Whatever that is.
You don't recognize what that is? You ever held a baseball bat?
Yes, I do.
What?
Sitting on prime real estate. You know what you need to do?
Oh, it's not prime real estate at all. I have one of the cheapest apartments in the city of Houston.
That's cool. So there's got to be some hot skanks in there.
Yes, Stroz.
Living on affordable living, ready to
my type of woman is the affordable skank.
Some hot snatch just for Pete. You need to go borrow somebody's dog. You need to go borrow somebody's dog and just kind of walk around your complex. You'd be amazed at what happens. All of a sudden, a guy with a small dog, you become incredibly likable. They start talking your ear off. All you gotta do is pull your wiener out.